Hello folks, and welcome to Telling Tinder Tales, the podcast where the search for love often goes wrong, dates get strange, but the one thing we can be sure of is that we'll all have a good laugh about it, with me, Chris O'Neill.
And me, Thomasin Lockwood. So it's a bit of a different episode today. We are coming up to our 1 year anniversary very soon of Telling Tinder Tales. I'm very, very happy our podcast has gone so long. Most podcasts, they last about as long as a good date, 48 hours or so. Chris, how do you feel about it?
Well, I'm particularly proud of myself, really, because, of course, I'm able to find people who will put up with me for almost a year. That's my greatest achievement. Brilliant co-host and superb producer and very, very tolerant guests, I think, is probably the mix that you want for a podcast. And an interesting topic that doesn't involve any AI slop. Keep it real. We don't get any more real than people's actual stories.
Very, very well said, Chris. And to be fair, we've also tolerated quite a lot, haven't we? We've had some strange guests on, haven't we?
That's one of the strengths of reality, is that people are strange. And that's what makes it interesting for our listeners all over the world.
So, Chris, what have been some of your favourite, if we've got a new listener today, what have been some of your favourite episodes or favourite stories in particular?
There's the episode that involved the American, I think it was Carly, who moved to Amsterdam and went for a date with a guy who, among other things, posed somewhat like a statue, turned out to be as high as a kite, and ended up being chased by the police, having got into a row with some people lying nearby in the park. That, I think, one of the more striking images.
I do remember that one really well. It was one of our first episodes, and I remember that was back when we were having, 2 to 3 guests on each episode, and we were still figuring out the Wi-Fi, the logistics. For anyone who doesn't know, I'm in London, Chris is in Naas, in Ireland, so we're a whole ocean away. We're a whole European continent away, technically, according to Brexit. Remember when that was our biggest problem? Anyway, and I remember, bless our producer Lucy was really getting people through it, connected to their earphones. I remember there was a lot of setup that day. What's the day today? Happy Be Nice to Your Editor Day. She might have made that up, but it's
I think she invented that, but I might be wrong.
It's working though. I'm being very well behaved today. Yes. No squeaky chair. But I remember that very well. Yes, so the statue thing was, she saw an empty picnic basket and blanket and thought, oh, that's strange. I'm supposed to be meeting someone here. She turned around and then turned back, and he was there on the picnic blanket, shirtless, like spread out, like, here I am, my darling. And he didn't bring any food, just, I think it was whiskey or wine.
Wine. I seem to remember there was a lot of wine.
Because I remember in the getaway with the police, he took the wine with him.
I have this image of a getaway in Holland, and he was as high as a kite and drunk. I have this image of a sort of slow getaway on all of them on bicycles, pedaling very hard and getting nowhere. Now, I'm sure that's not the case. I'm sure Dutch police, actually, they do drive Porsches now they think of it. It's just weird.
I mean, most of the time when you have a date in the park, it's supposed to be quite low key. It's kind of low hanging fruit. You just go for a lovely stroll. Did I ever tell you one of my first dates was walking through a park? And have I ever told you this story?
I have a feeling you did, but remind me.
Oh, so it was like the first date I ever went on, and obviously as a teenager you got no money, so we were just walking through the park, and it was a beautiful day. It was going really well. We were walking, talking, having banter, and then he touched, as they say in the romance novels, he touched the small of my back, and I got electricity, and I got really tingly and didn't know what to do with it, and I felt so awkward that I had this surge of adrenaline, so I just pushed him into a bush, and I went, push! And I think because he wasn't expecting it, he went right down. So maybe, I don't know, maybe we should get Shirtless Guy on the podcast. I feel like me and him are kindred spirits.
No, I'm pretty confident that having him on would be a disaster, simply because he'd probably be high. That would not contribute to international keep your producer happy day, week, month or year. Someone stoned on a podcast, yeah. Thomasin, have you any particular favourites or memorable moments from the podcasts?
You know what? There's so many. One in particular comes from my friend Ben, because I remember thinking, I don't think I know Ben well enough to know this side to him. So it was a surprise to me too, in that he went on a date with a dominatrix. It was a specific dating app. It wasn't Tinder. It was one for people with kinks. I think it might have been Field. But basically, he was like, right, I'm, slightly older lady, dominatrix. Like, I'm up for it. I'm adventurous. Why not? And they sat in this cafe having this really dry conversation about, like, will you do this? Will you let me do this to you? And her biggest thing was she wanted to put him on a crucifix. And she also, do you remember this? She brought a contraption with her, Chris.
I have a constriction at my memory of that particular device. Yes,
You're giving her what she wants, Chris.
Yeah, no, yeah, maybe. I don't think so. I seem to remember that device was extraordinarily intrusive, as far as I can remember.
I don't know what it's called. I don't know when.
It was designed to, shall we say, broaden access to the male intimate areas in a very aggressive manner. Yeah, it was a urethra stretcher.
Used professionally. I'm like, there's a hospital somewhere missing that.
Actually, when I think about it, you just imagine someone walking into a medical supplies office or business, which normally sells to professionals, and saying, oh no, my interest is purely amateur.
Now, this might be a bit of TMI. This is what happens when we don't have a guest. I just start telling people things. But I purchased I didn't. The guy I was seeing did, but he purchased for us a riding crop off one of those, those sort of Love Honey kind of, Anne Summers kind of websites, and it was really bad. Literally on the test smack, it broke. So he went to the source and he bought a proper riding crop, and now he gets emails being like, what else would you like for your horses? And all of his marketing emails, it's like, I don't know, like Hello Fresh or like the Guardian, and it's just horses. And I wonder if those people who sell, horse accessories, if they have any idea. They're like, oh wow, we're selling an awful lot of riding crops. Like, give the people what they want. Yeah. I'm
reminded in an obscure way of a particular statistic that was applied in Northern Ireland during the Troubles. Apparently, on an average year, they sold about 1,000 baseball bats and one baseball. So I think riding crops could be in the same spectrum. It's not something that wears out, really, is it? Anyway, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm also reminded of a story of some UK footwear company that was on the verge of bankruptcy. And then they were approached to make large sizes in boots.
Are you talking about kinky boots?
Yes. And they saved the business off the back of size 12 boots, all made for men, essentially.
Wait, Kinky Boots is like a musical and it's like a feel-good film.
Yeah, but it was also...
sorry, you're talking to me like it was a documentary. I was so confused.
No, there was an actual story at the back of it. It was a true story.
Ah.
That's the sort of story you can expect on a dating podcast.
It's all dating adjacent, you got to get your kinky boots to your date.
Literally.
And then you take your riding crop if there's fun, but you take your baseball bat to protect yourself,
Okay. In the literal and metaphorical sense, is covering all your bases. Anyway.
And listen, we cover all of our bases on these dates. We know some of the men needing either of those.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, there was another one that, now that I think of it, pops into my mind, which is Rabia. I think it was Rabia was telling us a story about how she went on a couple of dates with a guy. I mean, she's, broadly speaking, I think she would describe herself as left-wing and liberal. I think she ended up going on a date with a gentleman who would be neither left-wing nor liberal. He was a conservative sort of guy. But She went on one date with him, which went, I think, reasonably okay. But she went again. But in the meantime, she had mentioned that she had multiple sclerosis, which, as she said in the podcast, she doesn't make much of, gets on with life, right? But he turned up with a folder, wasn't it a folder? Actually, we've had a couple of folder stories, but a folder of information all about MS and what she should be doing, which is unlikely dating fodder.
Yeah, I do remember that story. I think he'd done lots of quote unquote research and was explaining it to her and saying, and this is why we won't work out because I don't want kids with what you've got. It was really bizarre. However, I think you might be misremembering because there was another guy who brought a binder with Nicole. She's from Florida. She was a matchmaker, Luma matchmaking. So, she'd been there, done that. I think in some ways seeing a man with the spreadsheet, making the effort, it's not something she hadn't necessarily seen before when she was working professionally, but to have a guy on a date say, I am willing to spend this much amount of money on my woman and I want her to look like this and be like this. It was like a wish list. It was very bizarre.
This is the great thing. The thing I really like about Telling Tinder Tales and about the live show is people think, oh, you're just talking to people. And everybody expects loads of entertainment from comedians. Well, yeah. But actually, people have the best stories. I mean, most people have been dating for 10 or 15 years. They end up with great stories.
It's true.
And by the way, be reassured out there, however weird the date you were on.
Or if, you get nervous and end up saying the wrong thing or feeling like you made an idiot, fool of yourself. Like, we have people bringing ferrets to dates in their handbags. Like, I promise you, whatever it is you're doing out there, it's not that bad. If this podcast is giving anything to you, I really hope it's showing you that, like, you're more normal than you think. It's going to be okay. I
do remember that the ferret, was that a pet ferret or it was a pet ferret? A person brought a pet ferret.
Yeah, and they had tiny ferret nappies on or diapers on.
Yeah. Still, that image won't go away. That's they had, yeah. Where do you buy tiny ferret nappies as well? That's just the questions. They're just more questions all the time. I think we asked that question, actually. I think it was answered in the podcast because it occurred to me then as well, I think.
Well, actually, Chris, that was a live show.
Oh.
This is really show. You know what? I don't think the age gap between us is shown very much, but in times like this, like
that was in Edinburgh. I dare never think of it. Yeah, was it Edinburgh?
I even remember the guy's name because it was an unusual name, but obviously I won't out him now. But that was a great show. I mean, I feel like that's a great opportunity for us to talk about our live shows a little bit more. Do you want to? Go into that?
Well, we're all over the country really doing bits and pieces at festivals, but we're in Leicester in February doing 2 shows. The 13th and the 20th, the day before Valentine's Day. What better way to spend your day before Valentine's Day than being inspired, shall we say. And we're in Derby at the end of May. And of course, we're in Edinburgh for the entire run.
Yeah, more details to come soon. I'm very much looking forward to that. It's such a blast last year. And you'll see us live. You'll see the chemistry and magic live.
Yeah, or they can see you, at least, Thomasin. I'm not sure I'm anything to look forward to.
That awkward silence there was a very slow nod from Chris.
I just know my limits. Anyway. Okay. So, I hope the audience all over the world have enjoyed our reminiscence. And I hope it inspires some of the people listening to go off and listen to previous episodes because they are enjoyable.
Some even have happy endings.
And some of them are very worrying. But that's neither here nor there. It still means you're not involved. Be pleased about that. It's happy anniversary to us at Telling Tinder Tales.
And thank you so much to our listeners. Obviously, you are the most important component of all of this. Thank you very much for liking, subscribing, following, reviewing, all that stuff. Keep it coming. It's been amazing. Happy anniversary, Telling Tinder Tales.
So it's goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.
Have a good one. Bye-bye. Telling Tinder Tales is hosted and produced by me, Chris O'Neill, and Thomasin Lockwood. Produced and edited by Lucy Regan, with music by Kinkas Moreira. It's a Jester's Comedy Dublin production and is no way affiliated with or endorsed by Tinder. If you have a story to tell, please get in touch. Details are in the show notes. And if you like us, instead of swiping right, follow us on Instagram and or TikTok at Telling Tinder Tales.